Greetings and welcome to Life Off Screen. I'm Dan Ruppel. I'm here with my lovely wife, Peggy. One of the joys of, we've been married 42 years. We've worked in the Hollywood industry for nearly that long. And one of the joys is meeting other couples or individuals who also have worked in the industry for a great length of time. Usually the couple, one of them works in the industry, the other is in maybe another line of work or is a stay-at-home parent. But certainly the case today's guest is they both are powerhouses and extremely talented powerhouses. Our guests today are Amick and Cassie Byram. And they are dear friends. We go quite a bit back, but we'll talk about that. We can't figure out how far we go back. But Amick is a multi-talented person. He's a singer, he's an actor, he's a voiceover actor. He's a producer, he's a director. He's worked in film and television and theater. He's been Emmy nominated, he's been Grammy nominated. Yeah. And he's probably known best for he did the singing voice of Moses in DreamWorks' Prince of Egypt.
Hey, don't forget, he actually has a Star Trek card. He was
That's
Shrek.
Right.
Trekkie, the last generation. Amazing.
Yeah.
And his wife, Cassie, she's equal. This gal, she started her career at 19, which makes all the sense in the world because she has been a TV actress, she has been a stage actress all over the world, and she's also been in film. So she was on 2 years of episodes with Jake and the Fat Man, and she did also some Star Trek episodes as well, some of their pilots. On and on, multiple stages across the world. So, and we are so blessed to have them, to go deeper with them. And what you're gonna love hearing most about them is life off screen. What was it like navigating two careers at the same time? What were the choices they made? What were the vows and what were the non-negotiables that really informed their life off screen?
So I think you're gonna really enjoy this episode, and let's just jump right in. Amick and Cassie, welcome. Welcome to our home. Welcome to our show.
Oh, thank you. This is so exciting.
Welcome to our home.
Yes. We are so happy to have you guys with us. Peggy and I were talking last night, and we were trying to think when we first met. It seems like we've been friends just about a lifetime, but we were trying to think maybe when and where.
It really does. Oh my gosh.
That kind of shows you, tells you how long it's been.
Is it the 90s?
I think it's 20 plus years at least.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe past that. And I think what's so remarkable about you guys is that there are so many similarities. We were married young, had our kid, 2 boys each first, right?
Yes.
And just so many things that we have very similar things on how we raised our kids, how we navigated the industry. Yes. So and I'm sure it was through the Cooks. I'm sure at some point they're the connecting family, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
They might be, but I think for some reason that we met you first, Peggy. At least that's what I'm remembering at a Biola conference.
Yeah, maybe at the media conference.
Talking about those kinds of events. This is another thing we were talking about the other night. Almost every time we have seen you guys someplace, we get to talking, and then as Peggy and I drive home, we say, we got to get together with those guys. We got to talk some more. It's like, we don't want that conversation to end. We got to see you guys again and go to dinner or something.
That's so funny, because every time we drive home, we say, we have to avoid those people.
Exactly. You block my number. Yeah. I've always wondered. It's like I keep calling you, and it's like he won't pick up.
No, honestly, we feel the same way.
We really do feel the same way. And I'm so happy to say that Peggy and I did make that happen.
Yes.
In an extended way at lunch about 2 months ago or something. I think it was.
Yeah, it was
right
the best.
Before everything hit.
Right before everything hit.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was more than 2 months ago. It was, and that was so delightful. That was just so nice.
It's when you find out that you've got these fellow pilgrims in life, right?
Yes.
And you've navigated certain issues, and as we get older, and those things are
really
older. They're such, because it's like 40 plus years, right? Yes. Married, there's few of us. So this kindred spirit. So
yes, and that's such a good point, Peggy, that, your fellow pilgrims in, people finding their people.
Yes.
their group, their tribe, whatever you want to call it. You don't, in navigating, especially in a life in entertainment,
Absolutely.
but in any area of life, it's really just so important to find those like-minded people, like you said.
Yes. And we were just perusing through your bio and things, and we were just blown away. It would be one thing if one of you guys had the career you had, but to be married and both of you, I mean, we're talking stage, TV, film,
and also multi-talented. You know, we know a lot of couples where maybe the husband's an actor and the wife is a dancer or something, but you're like an entire Broadway musical, just the two of you.
So we wanted to ask you and go down memory lane. If you guys could just talk into, where did the bug bite for you when you were younger?
For me, it started in elementary school. It started when I was in 6th grade. I had a teacher who just showed a lot of interest in me, and as far as helping me to discover who I was, what my skills were. She was an amazing mentor at such a young age. She really opened up my eyes to what it meant to what the arts meant as far as just being a light on the human condition. She really opened that up. And then she wrote an original play for the 6th grade graduating class, and with me in mind. So I ended up in the lead role of this original play, and that was a big deal for me. My 11th grade year in high school, before I got re-involved in the arts, and again, that was just something where a peer heard me singing while I was doing my chores in the backyard. She came walking around the corner and into my backyard, and she said, she was a friend for years, but I had never sung for anyone. And she heard me sing, and she said, there is the high school musical is casting right now. And she literally dragged me into those auditions because I had no idea what an audition was. I didn't even know. And I got the lead in that musical, and that was it. That was it as far as it leaping into, I could do this for a living. That's honey, what are you doing,
what?
Babe?
Nothing. I'm putting more light on you.
You're playing with the lights.
You're putting in the spotlight.
Wow.
We want to show our wives
I got the lighting
off.
perfect the way I want it, and now we look like
No, I think you look great.
we look like goblins. It's all green or something. Anyway, so
you guys can't look bad. I mean,
You guys look great.
If I could show you, we should turn around and show you what we've done to what was the grandchildren's room.
This is the grandkids' room.
Oh, cute. Nice. You did a good job.
And they haven't really been over because of the whole lockdown, and
so snooze you lose, you're out.
Snooze you lose. They're going to come over and go, Grandpa,
what?
Where's our room?
No, they're actually excited because they're going to put on plays.
They do. They don't know it's a studio now, and they're excited they can put on plays in front of them.
Nice.
That's fun.
Nice.
So Amick, what about you?
You know what? There's some similarity in that when I was in 6th grade, the junior high was putting on the operetta called Mikado, and I wasn't in junior high, but everybody kind of knew I sang. I come from a very musical and very artistic family, and so they asked me to be in this musical, and I really, really dug it. It was really a lot of fun. And then cut next to high school, when all the junior highs went to the high school to see the High School Musical, and I sat there and I watched My Fair Lady, done by a high school in Oklahoma, which really put on some extremely high quality productions. Wow. And I was mesmerized. I didn't want to get out of my seat. And when it was all over, and then went to college, and then got involved in television and recording when I got into college. And that was it. I thought, this is what I want to do.
I tell young people that if they say, I'm thinking about going into the industry, and I tell them, only do it if you just can't foresee yourself doing anything else.
That is absolutely wise advice.
Because that's how I was. It's like from the time I was 5 years old and I saw the Dick Van Dyke Show, I always tell this story that when I saw the Dick Van Dyke Show at 5 years old, and I said, that's everything I want to be. I want to write comedy, which I've done. I want to work in television, and I want a perky brunette wife.
Yeah, you got it all.
So I got my own Laura Petrie. But from that moment on, there was nothing else I wanted to do other than I was in early civic light opera and theater when I was 11, and that's the thing. It's that passion in you, and it speaks back to how God wires us.
Yeah,
God wires us that way where I just cannot not do that.
Truly.
Now, where did the two of you meet?
We met in an acting workshop.
In LA?
Yeah. Right after I moved out from Tulsa, after I graduated from college, I packed my car, moved across the country, went to Los Angeles. And one of the first things that happened to me was I got involved in an acting workshop, a very intense acting workshop that was 5 nights a week for 4 hours a night. And
for 3 months.
For 3 months.
Oh, that is intense.
Yeah. And they had auditioned people in LA, San Francisco, Chicago. And there were 11 guys and 11 girls. And I was fortunately chosen to be one. And this young lady right here was chosen to be in it also. So we met there.
Yeah.
Very good. Was it love at first sight, or did it take some time?
I guess the answer.
Maybe you each have a different answer.
I think it's a little different.
Maybe we do.
Yeah. So you guys have been married 40 years.
40 years.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. And you have 2 sons,
Yes.
Jonathan and Benjamin. And Jonathan and Eva are married, right? So anything exciting about that?
Oh, well, just maybe.
Funny you should ask.
Yeah.
We're going to graduate from Mamala and Daddy La to Grandma La and Grandpa La.
What?
You guys already knew.
Yes! There you go.
You're so funny. Oh my
that's
gosh.
hilarious.
Now we're so excited, and we are going to now. You wanted to get together with us? Well, we're going to be bugging you guys every day for advice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to the beginning of your career or your relationship. So when we met. Well, you're getting married, or you're considering, or whatever. But you also, both of you, have pretty extraordinary career aspirations. What was that kind of conversation like early in your relationship of like
making that work?
Your aspirations and mine, and
opportunities that came up, and how do you juggle life?
Yeah.
Even before we got married, we actually had discussions about just sort of agreements. There was talk about travel. There was talk about, I know this is going to sound really idealistic, but 50-50, and a partnership. And we really talked out a lot of things with,
That's awesome.
some of it you hit the target, and some of it, that's just not the way life works.
Like Cassie said, she was already working right out of high school and had established, some momentum in her career. I wasn't working at all. I moved out here and I couldn't rub 2 nickels together. I couldn't get arrested. So, it was
married him anyway.
I know. I don't know why. But anyway, so even before we had kids, there were times when she was, things were going well for her. And there were times that they were not going well or at all for me. And then there were times when things would happen for me, and then Cassie would kind of be at a resting place. And so dealing with the dynamics of 2 people, 2 actors in Hollywood who are driven and who have to deal with the whole ego thing and and just the perceived competition. That's not the right word, really. It's not a competition. It's not, never. But there is a certain amount of just negotiating through life with those particular issues that you have to be prepared for. And if you're not prepared for it, that's okay too. But if you're not prepared for it, you have to be so prepared in your relationship that you can weather through any situation like that.
talking about not working, we're in an industry that's very unstable, and there's a lot of times we're project oriented, and when that project ends, we're out of work again.
Right.
And so now you have kids, you both have careers, and an opportunity opens for one that you really need, and then maybe an opportunity opens for the other simultaneously. How'd you navigate that?
I think the most important thing is balancing the issue of what is the priority at the moment. Sometimes the priority at the moment will be, this person needs to go and make this money, or this person needs to do this because it is a definitive stepping stone to something else. Or it is definitely an elevation. And so those become the priorities. If it's just a gig and it's kind of like, well, I've done this before and it's great and I'm happy to have it, but what is your situation? What is the partner's situation? And is it going to be more beneficial either to the family or to the overall health of the marriage relationship or the family? Then you make those decisions. And, there's never been a situation that has been exactly like any other. Yes. And you take each one as it comes and prayerfully submit it to the Lord and prayerfully submit it to each other, and then hopefully make a good decision.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a really good point, because we found that in our marriages too. Every situation's different, and I think God does that to kind of change the combination, the formula, because that causes us to be more dependent on Him.
Yeah. Some of these were chunks of time. I look, Cassie, in particular, I think about, you just took these little small roles, like Marguerite in The Scarlet Pimpernel, Maria in West Side Story.
Yeah, it's not like you're not carrying the show.
Yeah, that's right. So I know those were chunks of time. I don't know if they were pre-kids, after kids, or how did that work?
I don't think our kids ever felt anything other than
they were enamored with
and impressed and proud.
They love what we do, and they were so much a part of it. I mean, we really tried to take them everywhere we went.
I did.
Yeah, especially when they're younger. Yes.
I did the same thing, Cassie. When I was supervising The Price is Right, I would often take my kids, especially in the summer, to sit in the booth with me while I'm doing it.
Healthy. That's healthy.
The funnest was our daughter when I think she was about 4, maybe 5. And I let her be for rehearsal, be a Barker's Beauty. So they put her in the bathrobe, and they did her makeup, and they did her hair like one of Barker's Beauties,
along with all the models. She's sitting with them,
and then we put her in the car. This for rehearsal. We put her in the car, and they go, "A new car!" And they roll the car out, and she's waving, and it was like. It was like Barbie's dream house for her, to be on television.
That's
what
great.
A nice memory.
So, Amick, tell us about your experience with Prince of Egypt.
When I was hired to sing the role of Moses in that movie, I worked on it for about 3 years. And this was right after DreamWorks had been formed, and it was the first animated feature that DreamWorks was going to put out. And of course, it was Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Geffen. And Katzenberg had just come from Disney, where he had huge success in this second golden age of Disney animation.
Oh, yes.
So he was out to definitely prove his mettle after after leaving Disney. So this movie, there was a lot of care put into it. And so I was in the studio, in and out of the studio for like 3 years with producers and directors and music supervisors and Steven Schwartz, the composer. And one day I'm in the studio and I'm doing all these demos for them also, and along with singing the role of Moses, and along with contracting all the vocals for the entire movie. Wow. So I'm in there and I'm doing a demo of this song when the Israelites leave Egypt. And it's the song When You Believe. You know, there can be miracles when you believe, that song. Okay. So, but when I recorded it as the demo, the lyric was, you can do miracles when you believe. So I leave the studio, we're all sitting out having lunch out in the break room. And I'm sitting there with the music supervisor, one of the directors and one of the producers. And I said, you know what, you might have a problem with that lyric. And they said, really? I said, yeah. Well, I said, yeah, because in Jewish orthodoxy and Christian orthodoxy, we don't believe that we do miracles. We believe that God does miracles, and he uses us as instruments of his miracle power. They said, really? I said, yes. So they said, well, I said, you might be better served if you change the lyric to there can be miracles when you believe.
Right.
And I said, you're going to avoid a lot of issues with every denomination and stripe and religion out there. And so they ended up changing it to there can be miracles when you
Wow.
That is amazing.
much to the chagrin of Stephen Schwartz.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Not really. No, he was okay.
No, but that's just such, wonderful proof of what we've talked about in the past.
Yeah,
Of just believers being a part of projects and
Yeah.
being able to make a difference, and you never know
Yes.
how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great example
Yes.
of Christian, like Cassie's saying, Christians being in Hollywood and being able to be in a position to where you can put the imperature of God within projects.
Yes.
Another day I'm in there, we go have lunch, okay, out in the break room again, and I'm with these same people. And by this time, it's a 3-year process. They're starting to ask me questions. And so they said, hey, listen, we're thinking about when Moses goes to the burning bush, that the voice of God should be maybe James Earl Jones. What do you think? I said, well, first of all, James Earl Jones has the most beautiful, gorgeous, godlike voice. But I said, you might, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, some people hear James Earl Jones and they're going to be thinking, I am your father, or
Darth Vader.
So they're going to be taken out of the moment. And so I realized that, you know what? I said to them, I seem to recall that somewhere in the Bible it says that the voice of God is like a running stream or a babbling brook. And I said, really? They say really a lot. And so they said, yeah. I said, well, do you know where that is? I don't, but I can find it for you. Then I sent them to them. And what happened was they decided not to go with James Earl Jones. They decided to go with 3 people: Val Kilmer, me, and one of the directors who was a woman. And I think it's really, and so what we did is we all recorded that voice of God, overdubbing each other in the same tempo. And so what you have when Moses goes to the burning bush, you have a trinity of voices speaking the voice of God, and one of them is a woman. And
So they meshed them all together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think there's something compellingly spiritual about that.
Trinity.
And I have to say that I love this movie, not because I am in it. I love the movie because it's so good and it's so significant.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we get to that scene, when Moses is speaking to God at the burning bush, I actually, most of the time, I well up with tears when I see that scene.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because there is the Holy Spirit imbued into that scene, because there's an even deeper truth than what could have been there otherwise. Now, I don't believe that that's necessarily because I'm so brilliant or smart. I believe it's because I was able to have some influence by God through the Holy Spirit in that situation that brought some authenticity to a biblical project that otherwise may or may not have been there.
You guys are so much like us in the fact that you're deeply committed to your family, to your marriage. You have a very well-rounded life. You're very involved in church. You're involved in a prison ministry.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of variables in your life that you're really committed to. And how have all those things enhanced your craft, your careers?
That's a good question.
I would say
I thought of it myself.
Yeah.
I know. You're amazing.
But let me while you're thinking, while you're thinking, I don't know how I would answer it.
And I told him that. I said, that's so broad.
It is.
Well,
No,
It's a
that's
good
a
one.
great question. I love that. It's a good one to think about.
I knew my answer right when you finished your sentence.
Wow.
What was it?
My answer is that those things have allowed me to refocus my mind away from show business.
Mm.
And that's one of the benefits of those things. Where show business is very self-focused.
Yes.
You have to be to a certain degree,
Yeah.
maybe to an nth degree if you want to be successful in this business.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find things or find issues where you can not focus on yourself, that's always a good thing.
That's excellent. That
True.
boy, that really sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is, because it is. Our industry is so self-focused because it's all by necessity. It's about me. It's like I gotta, be.
Well, you're the
Promote
product.
yourself. Promote.
Yeah.
Promote.
You are the product. And you got to promote yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. It really is. We've had this discussion with a lot of other, creatives, particularly on the performance side of things.
Well, we have
Yeah.
one thing to close with. We want to ask you if there is any word of wisdom you can give for that younger, could be foolish or just naive or just ignorant self, that you could go back and give. What bit of wisdom would you pass on?
Be fearless. Be fearless. And that
Fearless.
oftentimes comes hand in hand with the issue of what is your self-worth, or how do you view your own personal value?
Mhm.
And if you view your personal value within the context of how God values you and what God thinks of your worth, you will be far more fearless than you would otherwise. But that fearless thing is a very practical thing that I would like to encourage every young person to do, to be more fearless, more risk-taking.
More
That's
risk-taking.
excellent.
Yeah.
Such faith. Such
Yeah.
faith.
That is faith.
Right?
Yeah.
It is faith.
This kind of career is a faith walk, no doubt.
Yeah. More than maybe any other career.
I agree.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I'm glad you circled back to that question. I was wrapping up the program, and I'm glad you did. Good call, hon.
We need each other.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
Well, we love you guys, and we can't wait to see you when we can see you again.
Yes.
Yeah, we look forward to that.
We're
Okay.
going to really, truly make that happen.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks
Love you.
again. Love you.
Love you
Thanks
guys.
for being with
Bye.
us. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for Life Off Screen with Dan and Peggy Ruppel. Life Off Screen is produced by Master Media International. Our technical director is Jason Rugg. Please subscribe to the Life Off Screen YouTube channel or subscribe to the Life Off Screen podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to hear from you. You can leave your comments in the comments section, and to find out more about Master Media, go to mastermedia.com. Thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you next time.